through two of them. But after that, it looks kind of neat.
Look, the speeds are down at the bottom right.
Oh, yep.
And then it should give you,
Chairs that aren't as close to the
yeah,
ground.
and then click next to where the sound is on the right side. Down below.
They're
Up,
healthy
just a
when
little
you're
bit.
in that.
Next one up. All the way to the right side of that. Click on the little icon to the right. Yeah, there you go. It'll give you a choice where your outputs are.
Oh, it should already be on there.
Is it?
You wanna run a small test?
That's my grandma, if I picked her up and she'd come and she goes, oh, and then it's like, and then she goes, oh, I got it, hold it. But thank you. I think she did come.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay.
You guys are here. Todd.
Sorry, Sydney.
Sydney and
Colin. Nice to meet you, Todd.
two new patrols.
Oh, maybe.
Hey.
Good. Let's talk about that.
We're interested.
Fantastic. You here in Maryland? Good.
Just missed
No.
Yeah.
Where from?
I just came from Pinedale most recently, and then just moved
Nice.
up.
Okay. Cheapest places to snow.
Even though I grew up there and I've never skied or snowboarded once. I started last year, but yeah, never skied or snowboarded in Utah.
So what brought you
School, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As usual, yeah. She's doing a master's in vet science school. I'm doing geospatial information science.
Don't know too much in table.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I
I was
did it every year. I'm like, oh,
Also,
that's
the
interesting.
controllers here.
I know.
Oh,
Except for these two.
So we're preaching to choir,
Yeah.
and then we're going to convert.
Okay.
To you. That's the goal.
Good,
So
yeah.
we're glad you're here.
You're gonna tell us what two over two means, right?
what?
5202?
Oh. That should be,
It would be due
2025.
person that
Little dyslexic there.
in the future, right?
Yeah, a little dyslexic.
Ray, hey Ray, wait, that's right. And Ray is our controller. We got your names on a list for this fall, we teach our emergency care class.
I know how that happened.
Starting usually second week of September. And then it goes through September, through October. Couple pieces to it, so it's very similar to me.
Okay.
Thank you, Susan.
But anyway, there's an online component.
We can move forward if we have power.
Frank
Yes.
is going to convert you as well.
As he talks to you, get him to tell you how you can take the headlines course this week.
Well, Myron's going to talk about it by the end here. Yeah, so he'll make a plug for that. So we have two new patrollers that we're recruiting.
Good.
You're going to take your avalanche class as well. So we're making progress.
That's great.
But I signed up for that. There was someplace in, I don't know, it was on the NSP site. It was like someplace in Virginia. And
It's a trap.
Oh, yeah, so there will be courses that are offered, you know, around the country. But I'll get information to all the patrollers about how to sign up. And then, yeah, and I'll talk a little bit tonight about if you're not a
By the way,
patroller.
these are all.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
What do you think?
Should we get going? Yeah, I feel bad for sending you guys because,
Live streaming,
I was
so
letting
that's
all
part
the-
of it too.
Oh, that's okay.
Older folk.
so yeah, we have these ones who are,
Sit in
we can show you after that. All right, perfect seat for you.
Well, good.
There we go.
These are our
Oh, never
recruits.
heard you say that.
I'm Myron. You're Steph. Oh, yeah, so we're very interested in the Good.
All right, Luis, you ready?
Yeah.
Want us to start? You wanna?
No, I
Kick this
feel
off?
bad presenting you because everybody knows you guys, so
That's
I
okay.
don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
But there's
Instagram
some
doesn't
people
know you
out
guys.
there.
It's true, it's true.
And we're getting to know these nice young folks.
But yeah, we started this kind of idea, the Explorers Night, to invite people because a long story is going to be working over there and watching people coming in every day. We meet people, amazing people here in this town. So one day we decided, no, we need to share the stories that we hear here inside with the public here. Hello.
Hey, how are
you? See you.
Hello.
So this is how everything started, and as I am a ski patrol, so I started talking with Frank, and after that with you, and finally we found a day to do it. So happy to have you guys, and I don't know what else to say.
Okay, well, we'll get started. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Todd Bacon, and this is Myron Allen. You'll hear from Myron in just a few minutes, but we are very grateful to be here tonight. Base Camp and Fast House, which is on the other side of town, have been extremely generous partners to Snowy Range Ski Patrol and Medicine Bow Nordic Patrol, and help us sell our hats and t-shirts to raise funds for purchasing things for Snowy Range, and we are grateful for kind of their investment in us. And we're also grateful for the series. I went to the very first event, City Explorers Night, which was a young man, Nolan, who was climbing Denali in Alaska. And it was a really fun presentation. They've had a number of presentations from climbing other mountains to, let's see, penguins in the Antarctic. Is that right?
We're in a little island close to Antarctica.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an attempt to climb the Denali. We have a person from here, from Miami, who crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a sailing boat. What else?
Lake Tahoe?
Tahoe, swimming.
Over the water swim?
I was like, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An expedition in Argentina, here, David.
Oh, wonderful.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we are grateful to be here. Not exactly explorers in our job as Snowy Range ski patrollers, although some windy, cold days up on the mountain can very much feel like we're explorers. So what I'm going to do is just a few, I'm going to talk a little bit from a personal perspective in terms of what patrolling means to me and what it's kind of like to patrol. And then Myron is going to kind of get into the meat of our presentation, which is a little bit about the history and background of National Ski Patrol, kind of what do we do on a daily basis, and kind of what goes into our medical training and background in terms of being able to patrol. Come on in, folks. Jesse, welcome.
That church right here.
One other thank you. Later in the presentation, you'll see a number of photos, and right back here with the camera, wave Steph. Steph Arata is an amazing photographer, and if you see him up at Snowy Range skiing forwards, backwards, and probably standing in really dangerous places near the terrain park, that's Steph taking amazing photos. And so the photos you'll see later come from Steph, and we're grateful for him. Let's see. Lastly, I want to recognize a whole lot of patrollers here. So don't feel awkward if you're not a patroller. But let me do this real quick. Every patroller, put your hand up. Okay. Now feel free to turn around and so you can see who this is. Okay. Now, if you patrolled 5 years, or keep your hand up. If you've patrolled 5 years or less, put your hand down. I'm at 5 right now. It's going into my 6th. All right, put your hand down if you've patrolled less than 10 years. Put your hand down if you've patrolled less than 20 years. Put your hand down if you've patrolled less than 30 years. Keep looking, folks.
We're really old.
And the skis on the very back are the equipment. Actually, actually, I started skiing on equipment that looked very similar to that. I won't ask you to, unless you want to tell us how many years you've been a patroller.
I actually know, 30, how long have you been a patrol, Myron?
31 years.
No, it's more than that.
No?
And I'm sure it's more than that, because he's 1 year more than me, and I'm sure I'm looking at 32 or 33. Oh, that's right, we did. I knew that.
And I survived that, and I'm still here.
So he's right.
That's
By the way,
She's all right.
I don't know if you're married yet, but I understand that National Ski Patrol is a very good venue to meet somebody, to Stan and Susan met, in their patrol class, and they're still together.
Frank told us once at a meeting, I said I couldn't do something because my husband wanted me to do something else. And Frank said, if MSP thought you needed a husband, they would have issued you one. And he said, they did.
Nice. Well, I've been thinking about this idea of how do we fit into this whole theme of explorers. And there's a quote from a French novelist that I really like. And the context is in the field of art, but it's an intriguing one for us to think about. And it's Marcel Proust, French novelist and literary critic. He said in his book, The Prisoner, the real voyage of discovery. Yeah, please. So the real voyage of discovery is not seeing new landscapes, but seeing with new eyes. So not seeing new landscapes, but seeing with new eyes. And I would say it didn't take more than a year of patrolling for me to very quickly realize I have to see the mountain with a whole nother set of eyes than I ever saw it as a recreational skier. And so in terms of how we see the terrain, how we see the conditions, how we see the weather, how we see the public, sometimes who frighten us with their skiing. Whether we see, it's the three same young men, wonderful young men from Laramie, who are rebuilding the same ramp in exactly the wrong place that we have to take shovels and sadly destroy. And then those same three come back the next week and rebuild it. And we start all over again. We see folks from the chairlifts as we look down, struggling to put their ski boot into a ski in which the bindings are already pushed down. And as you holler down 5 times, push the back of the binding down. Magically, they still go into that ski, which is remarkable. Or, more tragically, out of the corner of our eye, we see that flash of color and see a skier that's gone in a direction that is really frightening, into a tree, a collision with another skier. And then all of a sudden, what we see on that mountain changes in a heartbeat, as our own heartbeat starts beating, and we figure out what do we need to do to come to this person's assistance. So we see this mountain in a very different set of eyes because we see it from the point of view of risk management. Literally everything we do, from riding the lifts very first thing in the morning, which can be magical on the right day, frightening on spring where it thaws, freezes overnight, and you're the one that goes down a trail that you'd rather not go down when it's just hard ice, frozen. But we see this mountain in all kinds of conditions. I love watching the storms come in from Medlow Creek. And, part of me is thinking, great snow, but great, it's going to be cold. And most days, our mountain is pretty windy. There's days riding up the chairlift, first lift, especially you go back to Sundance, you're the first person up on the lift. And we're looking at all of the shivs. Those are the big round spools on the chairlift to be sure that those are good. We're looking at the chair pads. I'm also seeing all of the trails left by the preachers from the night before in the morning, which is so just magical. I remember standing up one morning at the top of Sundance, having opened the rooms, and this wall of fog down in the valley, almost like a blanket, is coming up and over Sheep Mountain. And it's just gorgeous. And I've spent time at the top of Sheep, the very last person to come off of the mountain as I'm waiting to be called down after all the other patrollers are down. And I've spent 5 minutes with this beautiful red fox, the top of Sheep, just the two of us. So we are not explorers in the sense of some of the speakers that have come so far, but we do see this mountain in a dramatically different way, both from risk management, but we ski it over and over and over again, but we see something different every single time we go up there and ski it. So with that, I am going to pivot and shift to Myron. Myron's going to jump in and take it from there. All right?
Thanks,
And then,
Todd.
by the way, at the end, we'll save time for Q&A and a sign-up sheet from Ray for all of our new controllers that we're going to. All right.
Well, thank you, Todd, and what I have to say is going to be far less poetic. Some more factual information about the ski patrol, the local ski patrol and the national ski patrol, which we are part of. And for those of you who are patrollers, there might be a new item or two. And for those of you who are not patrollers, I'm going to be trying to persuade you that you want to be patrollers. You want to be ski patrollers. It's like a big family. It's like a big family locally in the Laramie area, but I would say nationwide, there's 30,000 members of the National Ski Patrol, and they love the organization. You saw there's a bunch of us who've been around for a long time. When I first trained, I had no intention of becoming a ski patroller, and now I'm a lifer. Anyway, I'll try to share some facts with you. I won't make it long, and I apologize to especially the folks who've been patrollers for a long time and held, offices at the division and national level, because a lot of that stuff would be for those folks that would be.
So we chose to be here. We chose to be here.
Yeah. So, anyway, I wanted to start first with just a little video that will, I think, kind of pique your interest in what patrollers do and the difference they can make. And that's how I put that.
I think you can close that one. It's slow.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where I close this.
Upper left corner, yes. Yep, you just had it. You just had it.
Yeah, okay. I thought I was going to pull up. So,
Behind it.
there's another one. I think the YouTube is. This is an accident, actually an avalanche accident happened in Mammoth Mountain a bunch of years ago.
Hey, grab that shovel and dig out this wall right here, so you can kind of roll her in.
I love you, man. What's your name? Sir? Rescue man, what's your name? Keith. I love you, man. Oh, you guys, thank you. Oh my God.
Sorry, we're just kind of replacing it to one other place. Let's just leave the wall out. Okay. Can you get down here and this way? Hold that head on the end. No. What I want you to do, I want you to increase rope this side, grab these pointing. Cross your arms, okay?
get the snow off her, guys.
Okay, well, I think that gives you some sense of, what happens to our mind frame when we come,
Thanks for having me. And,
come to the scene of a serious
We're
accident.
gonna talk about avalanche race. A lot of you have already heard this talk or some way.
Yeah, actually, I think we're good now that I've got, not particularly media out of the way. So anyway, when, we, as Todd mentions, there are wonderful moments on the hill, and then, there are these times when all hell breaks loose, and we gotta pay attention to somebody who's in trouble. And, we don't have avalanches at Snowy Range Ski Area, but we do have patience. So, at any rate, I want to talk a little bit about the national organization. There may be some information here that not all patrollers know, but, so National Ski Patrol is a nonprofit organization. It was founded in 1938, so, that was well over 80 years ago. We're an old organization, one of the oldest rescue organizations in the world, and certainly one of the oldest in the U.S. And it was founded by a guy named Minnie Dole, was his nickname, and that's a picture of him right there. He is revered among ski patrollers. And he founded the ski patrol after he was in a party that had a backcountry accident near Stowe, Vermont. And there was, the folks ran off to get a piece of roofing, metal roofing that they used as a splint and then also as a sled. And they got the patient out of there. The patient was very seriously injured. So that inspired him to start the National Ski Patrol. A few years later, he went to President Roosevelt and argued that we needed a division of the Army that was trained in winter mountaineering. And so he was instrumental in starting the 10th Mountain Division. Maybe you've heard of the Mountain Division, the storied division that actually still exists. It went out of existence for a while, it's back in existence, and National Ski Patrol and the 10th Mountain Division are collaborating, kind of in honor of our history, collaborating on avalanche training and other things as well. But the philosophy of the National Ski Patrol is that we will provide first aid care, medical care on the mountain at no charge to guests. Medical costs these days are incredible, but if you get hurt way up on the mountainside, there's no medical help there except for the ski patrol, and we train to stabilize you and get you off the mountain, and if you need to go to some more advanced care, we'll arrange for that too. And that's where the free part ends. So, at any rate, we are one of the few organizations that has a congressional charter. I don't think that Congress is doing this anymore, but some organizations like the American Red Cross and what used to be Boy Scouts of America is now Scouting USA, and some other organizations like that have national charters, and we're one, and we're very proud of that fact. So that's part of the nature of the organization. We get, of course, it's big. I mentioned earlier there's about 30,000 members of the National Ski Patrol. And there's 11 divisions. You can see a bunch of them here. You can see 9 of them here, but there's also an international division, lots of folks who are stationed with the military or who work at jobs related to those military installations in Europe, and I think even in Japan. There are ski patrollers there. We have a professional division, so if you go to a place like Steamboat, all of the patrollers you see there will be paid patrollers. They train the same as we do. If you go to Winter Park, you'll see a mix of pros and volunteers, and they all train together. So we have a professional division. It's about 10% of the membership. I mentioned 30,000 members, 90% volunteers. There's over 600 patrols in the country. Most serve alpine ski areas and inbound resorts, but Todd mentioned there's Medicine-Bow Nordic Ski Patrol that helps patrol some of the races up here at Happy Jack. Diamond Peaks Ski Patrol at Fort Collins patrols the backcountry near Cameron Pass. There's a bunch of non-alpine patrols as well, and these days there are also bike patrols. Really recognizing the fact that in a lot of resorts there are summertime bike activities as well. And people, believe it or not, get hurt on mountain bikes, especially if they ride to the top of the mountain and go at breakneck speeds down the hill. So we have Nordic backcountry patrols, search and rescue patrols. California has a couple of, and Washington have patrols that are devoted to search and rescue, and then mountain bike patrols, as I mentioned. We spend a lot of time training. We have a course about outdoor emergency care. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's a big time investment, as any of the patrollers here will tell you, and it's an attention-getting course. But it's it's the one thing that we all take. Most of us also train on how to get a toboggan down the hill with a patient in it. As you might imagine, if you stay in control and get the patient down, it looks quite smooth, but there's a big risk there, right? I mean, if somebody lets go of the toboggan or dumps the patient out of the toboggan, so we got to train pretty hard to keep people in the toboggan in back of us, and get the patient down the hill. Todd has trained lots and lots of people, and Stan helped to train me, and so we train each other in toboggan riding. We have to train in getting people out of the chairs in the very rare occasion that something goes wrong with a chair. So we do that every year in hopes that we never actually have to do it, but unfortunately sometimes it happens. I mentioned this course, Outdoor Emergency Care. It is not equivalent to emergency medical technician. The material that we teach, it is at that level, but we spend a lot less time on congestive heart failure, for example, and more time on trauma, when somebody runs into a tree, or hypothermia, frostbite, things like that. I think my latest count, Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's about 30 hours in the classroom, about 40 in the field, like with all-day field practice sessions. Terry just went through it, so we can tell you about that. And then, I don't know, Terry, what do you think, about 30 hours or maybe even more in online material?
Probably more.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a serious course. It's probably equivalent to 2 3-credit college courses. And not only in time commitment, but also, I'm going to say, in the kind of the demanding nature of the subject. We've had people who trained in OEC and then showed up and had a potentially fatal wreck on their first incident. And they handled it correctly. So we take that seriously. We take that training very seriously. So there's rigorous written and practical tests. We have to take a refresher every year. It's got an online component and an in-person component. Here's an acronym you may or may not have heard of, CAPSI. If you're an EMT, then you know about CAPSI. This is an organization that accredits emergency medical training for use for continuing education. We have certain continuing education requirements, and CAPSI recognizes NSP as a provider, EMT continuing education. Most of us pursue some additional training. For example, I got a picture here of my buddy Frank in an avalanche course. He's trying to figure out the snowpack. And, but we have avalanche, bike patrolling, instructor development. I mean, we're gonna be teachers, we gotta learn how to do it. Mountain travel and rescue, Nordic backcountry skiing, outdoor emergency care. I mentioned outdoor emergency transportation, that's the toboggan training, and outdoor risk management, which Todd mentioned, risk management. That's one of our central jobs. So we have, 8 pretty hefty disciplines to learn from. Worth talking about what happens in Laramie. We've got 2 Laramie area patrols with patrollers from Laramie, Cheyenne, Fort Collins, and maybe there's some other places too. I think we've got patrollers from Wheatland maybe. But at any rate, there's lots of overlap. I'm primarily with the Nordic Ski Patrol, but I ski a lot with the Alpine Patrol as well. So you got lots and lots of volunteers who train pretty hard to offer their services in the mountains. I would say we have about 70 people total. Ray, is that a good number? And they come from all walks of life. I've got a list here of some people I could think of, and the list is not complete. So people from all kinds of walks of life, and it does feel, we train hard together, and it feels like a family. Whether we're paid patrollers or volunteers or not, we spend a lot of time with each other. And I think we all develop a lot of respect for our colleagues. So if you're looking for a way to spend some time in the mountains, doing some good work for your community, think about becoming a ski patroller. It's not a trivial task, but it's really rewarding. So a lot of people think that, when we say ski patrol, they think Marine ski patrol, and that is, most of the patrollers in the area are Marine ski patrollers. But we provide medical support at the Nordic races, with middle school and high school and university, some citizens races and so forth. So we provide support there. We teach typically 2 local avalanche courses each winter. About 35 people total get trained every year in little old Laramie, Wyoming. That's about the same number of people as get trained in Boulder, Colorado, a much bigger city. So we stacked up pretty well compared with some front range communities. Fort Collins, I think in Fort Collins at the moment, if you want a level 1 avalanche class, you got to take a commercial. A bunch of us participate in Albany County Sheriff's Search and Rescue. There's lots of overlapping skills and demands there. We train other ski patrols. In the top picture there, there's a bunch of ski patrollers who live in Omaha, Nebraska, and patrol across the river in the bluffs overlooking the Missouri River in Iowa, believe it or not. So, and they choose, for pretty good reasons, I think, to come out here and train in things like mountain climbing and rescue and we have been involved with, local patrollers have been involved in training Green Berets from Fort Collins and soldiers from the 10th Mountain Division. We've got another 10th Mountain Division course queued up for February. So, and then, once we have this training, I think most of us would say we feel compelled to stop. If we see an accident on the road, or somebody gets hurt at the workplace, falls down a set of stairs or something like that, I think we feel like we need to take care of those folks. So we're good Samaritans out of a sense of responsibility. Anyway, we save lives. And not all of the accidents we work are that bad, but occasionally they are. And we love our work. I think you got a sense of that from Todd a few minutes ago. And we welcome new members. We're happy to what have you in our courses. Our first aid course is kind of big, so we just offer it once a year in the fall. But if you're intrigued by that idea, get a hold of one of us, and we'll make sure you're on the list for that outdoor emergency care course. And with that, I think that's all I've got. I wanted to advertise my upcoming avalanche courses. There's two of them, two level 1 courses. They're recognized by the American Avalanche Association. So they aren't exactly the same as a commercial provider's course. We emphasize a little more rescue than other organizations do. But they are nationally accredited avalanche courses. There's one that's for UW students and employees offered by ski patrollers through the UW outdoor program, and it starts on February 3rd. If that one pertains to you and you're interested, you should contact the UW outdoor program. There's one that's open to the public. You don't have to be affiliated with UW. And it starts on February 10th, and if you're interested in that one, you should let me know, and I'll let you know. First of all, I'll let you know if it's full. It tends to fill up early, but I'll let you know also how I can find you in the course. And I think Kate is going to hang mine. Okay, so there's a poster up there. Yeah, good. So this information is also in that poster. Okay, so that's my shameless plug for avalanche training.
Do you want to start the other one?
I'll start the,
slides?
sorry,
Yeah.
a bunch of pictures. That,
Well, we are open for any questions that you might have, except for Susan.
Is this the stump the chump section?
it could be.
Then it goes to Myron. Any questions, or?
So you guys use dogs?
We don't at our area, because as Myron said, we don't have any avalanche terrain, but you will see dogs at other larger ski resorts. My dog would love to come, but I don't know that he would be all that helpful.
Scout's a bomb dog.
I have a question, but I don't know if you can answer for that one. Because I know this is the second year with the digital reports. I don't know if there's some data that we can share or not, like the guys' stats or.
Oh, I don't have any off the top of my head.
I know it's a sensitive topic, so say no, I can answer that one. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stats.
A bunch of years ago, I think Susan and Stan went and dug through all the old paper reports and put together some statistics about where, when accidents occur, where do they occur.
They mostly occur on blue runs. Well, there wasn't a train park when we did those reports. They mostly occur on blue runs. They involve children, quite commonly with children. Most of them are not serious, but some of them are very, very serious. And there's no predicting. So if you're a brand new patroller and you're on the way down the hill to your first accident, there's probably going to be somebody with a twisted knee, but it might be somebody who's not breathing or has a busted femur. So.
How many people do you treat a year at snow help a year?
Right.
Not just people that fall down crying, but like people.
No, so anything we call a report on, which means they come down to the aid room. We've got to the aid room. Last year was 423 incidents.
So what would it have been 5 years ago before this got as popular as it is today?
We were averaging 250 to 300.
So it's twice as many.
There's a couple
They are-
factors, I think,
yeah.
driving this. One is the price and the traffic on I-70 going west to
Yeah, for
the
sure.
Front Range. A lot of folks are finding Snowy Range is a very attractive price, which we offer. But it also, and we're also basically a beginner mountain. And so, depending on conditions, beginners just, there's a little bit more risk there. And our numbers have increased just volume-wise. So there's a couple factors that have driven that. But to Luis's point and Ray, 2 years ago, we went from just paper incident forms, and we were dragged into the digital world finally, which is a good thing. And we, for example, when we fill out those digital forms, we can actually, as best as we can, pinpoint precisely where that incident took place on a particular run. And we're still processing how to best use this data. But I suspect in the next couple of years, there's probably some very good additional risk management conversations that we'll be able to have because of that kind of data. Susan, did you want to add?
I think that, the types of injuries that we see have evolved. This is anecdotal, because I don't have the recent data, but just from my observations as a patroller, I think we see significantly fewer serious closed head injuries per capita. The rest of you patrollers, do you agree with me?
I agree with that.
I think it's because of helmets, obviously. We see also, I think, a lot more upper extremity injuries, broken forearms, dislocated shoulders, and I attribute that to the increase in popularity of snowboards and the terrain park. And I think that the grooming is far better than it used to be, and the skis are far more sophisticated than they used to be. So there are a lot of things that have changed a lot, and I think we need a new catalog of what really happens on our mountain and where we need to put in our effort. But we're seeing, I believe, different array of accidents than we used to.
Do you guys monitor how, let's say, because, having skied all over the place, I mean, some mountains are way more dangerous than others for a host of reasons. Does the ski patrol monitor, like, which mountains are, like, that rate of incidents for a number of people that are on the mountain, like, which mountains are much more dangerous than other mountains?
That's proprietary.
There's a,
Yeah, they don't want to share that.
there's an organization called the National Ski Areas Association, and in fact, so NSP's headquarters are in Lakewood, Colorado, in a building that NSP owns, and the National Ski Areas Association offices are in that same building. So the CEOs talk to each other every day, and it's really been up to NSAA to keep track of accident data and accident trends. And I saw a presentation really back in September on, sort of emerging trends across ski areas, but I don't have all the numbers in my head for this. I think lots of people now are focused on chairlifts and chairlift safety.
Because I'm a mountaineer, and if you go climb a mountain, a big mountain, you know what the fatality rate is per climber. And obviously, all mountains are vastly different. Like Aconcagua is called the Death Mountain. The people, for the amount of people that, a lot of untrained people climb that mountain, so you have to deal with all that. People that climb Denali typically are way more experienced.
Yeah, I think it's a combination between how accessible a mountain is. So the more accessible, the less screwy people that you have. Sometimes it's a weird combination of factors.
Yeah, I think this skiing would be the same, right?
Well, there's a problem with our data in addressing that issue as well. At least when we compiled the accident statistics, these many years ago, and now I think we don't really know who's skiing. We don't have statistics for who bought the lift tickets.
Oh, okay.
We only know who got hurt. And on the one one hand, it would be interesting to know.
Yeah, so you don't know the demographics. so
We
it's
don't
hard
know
to-
the demographics of
Right.
who's on the mountain, we know the demographics of who we have to take care of. And that's what we really need to know, but, it would be interesting to know who's most likely to be hurt, but we don't know that, I don't think.
And they, at the same time, I think, you don't need too much energy or speed to end with a really bad injury. So it,
Yes, yeah.
even if it's raining.
It helps
easy,
some.
So it's hard to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, we collected that skating field. It got squashed. People did not want the public to know just how dangerous skating was. So they said, don't do this.
Yeah, there's different motives involved here.
Yeah, it's,
Right now,
Competing
that
motives.
it shows the change that's going on, is now they're cutting it out there and, computerizing it and keeping track of it and.
it's still a sensitive subject with
Yeah.
ski area managers. But I think kind of a more modern attitude is, let's find out what's actually happening. And, from that, we might learn some things that we need to do a little differently to reduce the number of accidents. So we have, there's an entire kind of medical side of the community that worries about what's the right thing to do when the accident does happen. But we need to also think about, what can we do in the areas to reduce the number of accidents. Is that a handle? Yeah. Oh, please.
Opportunity to get through. So, you mentioned the coursework and all that stuff. Is wilderness first aid or wilderness first responders, is that credited towards any of those hours, or is it all?
Let's see, so, it will help if you know some of that material. But if you want to join the ski patrol, we'll ask you to go through outdoor emergency care as well. The Wolford course it doesn't do as good a job of teaching you how to use a bunch of the equipment that we use. Because in typical wilderness setting, you don't have oxygen readily available. So we've got, oxygen bottles and traction splints and a bunch of, gear that we need our patrols to use. And by the same token, there are things that you learn in the winter course that we don't do, and they're not much different practice.
Does that qualify you for that?
Woodford doesn't. So there's an approach to getting getting certified as an outdoor emergency care technician. Relatively new, called the modified challenge. And if you're an EMT or an advanced EMT or a paramedic, you've basically been through something, a written test very similar to ours and a practical test that's, except for like one station, practically identical with the ski patrol's practical test. So for those folks who've been through a very similar testing regimen, we ask them to go through a skills checklist. And here's some things that we need to be able to do on the side of the mountain. We're not operating out of the back of an ambulance, so you need just to go through this checklist. But it's not available to workers. Because one thing about Wolfer is there are lots of different organizations who teach it differently, so we don't really know, what they know. And then, like I mentioned, we need people who can use our equipment. That's a good question, though.
Because I did the modified.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great for transition to different meetings. But, right, EMT,
Yeah.
but,
And you came to a bunch of our practical
I did.
training sessions, right?
yeah, practicals.
Is that helpful?
And checklists, yeah, the transition was really good, I thought. And it is a very high time commitment starting off with you do that into, it does kind of become 2/3.
Yeah.
And slowly kind of, calm down and big question for me and you know, how to translate that to on the road.
Yeah, so you've got a radio and what's in your aid pack and whatever you can order from the top of the mountain, you know. Until you get down to the first aid room, which I think is stuff. Yeah, that's a great question, and we are happy to have EMTs joining us. We're happy to have, you know, woofers, wilderness EMTs, people with previous training. But we're also happy to have people who are starting at ground zero. By the way, I want to mention all these pictures you're getting to look at. Steph took these. He's standing back of the room. So he's an amazing photographer.
Well, there's.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking, you mentioned the trend towards chairlift safety. Is that response to what I feel like has been a lot in the news on falling off chairlift type incidents? So I'm from the East Coast where we had bars on every and I bring my family out here to ride this with a bar. So I'm just curious,
Yeah, there were, over the last few years, there have been some, you know, pretty well publicized chairlift incidents. You know, at least one fatal incident involving a patrol. Well, like not here, but elsewhere, at a place that does have one. And no, I think what happened was a tree fell on the cable and
Injected him?
sorry, yeah.
Well, there was a guy at our patrol too.
But anyway, I think you're exactly right. It's in response to, you know, recent bike mean, like last year there was publicized accidents. And so every I think responsible skier or manager would say, whoa, Nelly, let's take a look at our chairlift protocols and see if we need to do some improvement.
I can say that last week, I wasn't not part of this, but they took 10 feet out of the Pioneer lift, the cable, took a number of chairs off. There's a mechanism that does that. I'd love to see that actually. It's some pneumatic device that squeezes it together, and then those chair lifts come out of the cable, and then they took out 10 feet and they put in 10 feet. And so I can't imagine the physics involved in these things, but to that point, you know, those cables and chairs are inspected every year, pretty rigorously. So,
I guess that cable's pretty heavy.
I would think so.
Yeah. Take up some force to.
And it's really our job to watch those cables and the shifts they go through like hawks. So just better to catch emerging problem before it becomes a real problem.
So there's more and more people up in the snowy range, you know, doing backcountry stuff, right? Is that, I've never seen a patroller up there. I've backcountry up there all the time.
Yeah. Once upon a time, Medicine Bow Nordic Ski Patrol routinely was out in the backcountry on weekends. The logistics of it really make it so that if you've got, you know, a party of 2 or 3 patrollers touring around in the backcountry up in the snowy range, you don't really have a lot of coverage, right? I mean, giant forest, a lot of snowmobilers who are covering incredible amounts of terrain. And so, practically speaking, if you get yourself in trouble in the backcountry, it's most likely search and rescue that's going to come get you out of trouble. And there will probably be a ski patroller or 2 in that group. Because we're supporting that.
Frank, did you want to say something? Just a perspective on first aid and the importance we put to the OAC course. We ask all incoming members, whether they're getting special dispensation, EMTs, nurses, whatever, they all go through this course. doctors of either type, MD, DO, all the way down to common language. So we are all operating from the same perspective, and we know where everybody and everything in the training is coming from.
I get to interact with lots of ski patrollers from other patrollers from nationwide. And I think it was about a year ago, somebody that I was talking with said that she had transferred from one patrol to another because she moved. And so she signed on with a new patrol. And what really amazed her was when there was an accident, and you had several patrollers that had to work on this accident. They all knew what to do, and it was the same for everybody. And if you're the patient, I think that's what you want, right? You want people to show up and not be arguing over what to do with you, you want them just to do it.
I always have lots of questions.
Good.
I apologize for running just like full of questions, but what's the coldest day one of you guys has spent on the top of the Pioneer lift or whichever lift you want to?
Last year, we had a day that we shut down Sundance because it was too cold. And I patrolled that day, and I want to say the wind chill factor was, I think, minus 35. And about, I don't know what the ambient temperature was, it was probably 0 or maybe minus 10. And, it was tough to stay warm. You know, we would take turns ducking in. We have kind of a shack, if you will, at the top of Sundance. And we have what's called the bunker, which is the old concrete building that the lift originally was connected to. And we have equipment stored there, and that does have a heater in it. And we would take turns rotating because one run down, and by the time we rode that lift back up, you couldn't feel your fingers, you couldn't feel your face. But I'm sure you've experienced that on mountains. Stan?
Years ago, Waco, and after the first hour, there were no more.
I remember a day when it was 16 below at the base. It was early in the season, it was in December, and so we were skiing a lot on artificial snow, on man-made snow. And I had not waxed for 16 below, and it was hard. I had to be on a steep part of the mountain to get my skis to go downhill. It was that cold.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't skate on alpine skis when it's that cold.
Yeah, so, and, you know, fortunately, I've never had to work a wreck on a day that cold.
But they're not any customers.
Yeah.
If you send a patroller out if one shows up.
From what I hear, this December is gonna be pretty cold, right?
That's the,
I know
the
it
average
goes
right
16,
in
but-
November.
Oh, in my experience, December and the first half of January are the coldest part of the year. Probably because it's the shortest day of the year, but it's the coldest.
By the way, Todd mentioned, you know, some poetic moments that he's had at the ski area, and some of mine occur in December as the month goes on. At the end of the day, we send a patroller down every trail. We call it sweep. And just to make sure everybody's off the mountain, nobody's lost in the woods or, you know, got a broken bone or something like that. So we're the last people on the mountain. And then we have, on the weekends, we have a tradition we call super sweep. So we leave somebody at the top of the mountain with all the patrollers going down in case they, you know, a patroller finds something, there's somebody still at the top of the mountain. And so, this may sound perverse, but I really enjoy being super sweet in December because it's a view of the mountain that there's nobody else who gets. You're up there all by yourself. The sun is down. It's getting dark, and the wind, you hear the wind whistling. It's very quiet, and so I just like that. I like being there. But I also like hearing from Todd saying, Myron, you can come on down. Yes?
For like ski patrol shifts, is it like a set amount of hours per week? Do you have like patrols who are just called in and you get to leave?
For the volunteers at Snowy Range, the typical schedule is like every other Saturday or every other Sunday. And so, 3 out of 4, or 1 out of 4 weekly. We have paid patrollers. We have some who are both. We have volunteer on weekends and on paid staff during the week. And I think that varies, right? We have people who patrol a couple of days a week, and people who, I don't care if anybody who goes all 5 days a week. Oh, Richard does, okay. So, depends on who they I think Ray may have a sense of this too. I think our duty day requirements are about the minimum. I think like Loveland, they want like 24 or 28 days a season.
We require 10
How many days do you require a season?
10?
10 days.
And by the way, we also, we're not unusual in this, but we have a young adult program. That's part of our National Ski Patrol and Snowy Range Ski Patrol. And so we have 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds who go through exactly the same training as everybody else. And we've had a couple each of the last couple of years. We just had 2 that went through our OEC class this last fall who were outstanding. They all are. And it's been an extraordinary thing to watch a 16 or 17-year-old have to reevaluate their relationship with all of us adults because they're treated like an adult. They have the same training, the same experience. Now, we handle them a little differently. So we pair them up to ski lifting experience patrol until they turn 18. So we'd rather they not show up on the scene by themselves. So we want them with somebody who's experienced for lots of different reasons. But it's an extraordinary opportunity. And Ray's daughter Caroline was a young adult patroller. She is now an adult patroller, and is still going strong.
Well, one of the reasons that we insist that the young adult patrollers, people under the age of 18, be accompanied by other patrollers when they do an accident is we don't know who our patients are, right? So I don't feel right sending a 16-year-old down to deal with a patient who I don't know. So I think that's one of the main reasons. Not that we don't trust their training. We actually are just people that age are pretty good learners. They can learn. So I'm looking around the room, I see like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people who aren't ski patrollers. I hope we talked them into it.
Well, thank you all for coming.
There was an article in the newspaper in the New York Times in the last couple of days. Did you guys see it? The life of a ski area. And it was about snowbird,
Yeah.
giant. Did you read that?
Yeah, I did, and all the, like, everything from the groomers
To the cooks.
to the patrollers to,
Well, the thing I was gonna pull out of that was what the patroller said about why he patrolled. Remember what he said? He said he did it for the camaraderie.
Well, I think that's really true.
And I think that's true. He said he didn't do it for the free skiing, it's not anywhere near free, by the way, or for the adrenaline of taking care of patients. He did it for the camaraderie. And I thought that was well put.
Well, that kind of happened to me. Like, I moved here 4 years ago from Argentina, and I find the ski patrol a nice community for me to work in the mountains and doing something that I can love. So it's a good family too.
I think that, Susan is right on the line, because there were several years where we traveled to different ski areas every week, to do OAC tests and, OAC, senior tests and everything else that was OAC. And, I mean, we went down from southern, New Mexico to Iowa to, we hit every ski area in, the Rocky Mountain Division about once a year, if not twice. And you get to know all of these different patrollers, and they're all the same. They're all the same. They're there to help people. They're there to have fun. And they're there to feed the community. So,
It's not just the crazy locals. I feel like it's a family.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys.
Appreciate your time. Welcome. Oh, yes. Before you leave, we have some stickers.
Yeah, little memory.
So I have some work done.
So that's like the first thing.
Things you need to do to get started.
We're gonna put your name
Yeah.
and phone number and emails
How
with
many-
this gentleman right over here.
How many years of experience do you need skiing?
That's a good question.
If it's Winter Park, you need to be a really good skier just to get in the door.
I've seen ski strollers going down the mountain backwards, and I'm just like,
You know, on purpose. So we have some people who have trained, but, you know, they're still working on their ski skills. We're not gonna trust them with a toboggan. And then we have people who are really outstanding. You know, Snowy range, you can get on the floor without pictures. Real workers.
It's helpful to know you can safely get out. As Myron said, you know, because that means you can get on scene. That's your rating. But there's a number of us. I'm also a number of folks who are interested in their skiing ability. Would like to avail the possibility such as toboggans. But we would never
Hey, you have all these people to help take care of you.